Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, man. So glad you're here. If this is your first time coming to the channel, want to welcome you here. Just want to let you know that our vision statement here is to coach every entrepreneur from their first $500 to their first $1 million. We want to stop overthinking, take action, and build something worth living for. Well, I had one of my viewers request. He said, hey man, tell me some things that you wish you would have told your younger self. And so I did, man. I made a little list. So I got a little list today. We're going to go through them, right? So 10, I mapped out 10 things I wish I would have known or somebody would have talked to me about. So the first one that I thought about is, because I've had several businesses. So I'm just not talking about the voice over IP. If you've been in my channel long enough, you know I talk about my voice over IP business. But there's several other ones I had. I.e. the dry cleaners, this one applies to. It says you can't, the first one I wrote down was, you can't out hustle a bad business model. Why didn't I listen to my wife? Like, I was going to start just dry cleaners. We're down in Clayton, North Carolina. It's bases Budonk town. Love it. It was great. There was this big community out there with a golf course. It was cool, right? I lived out there. I like living out there. But to try to start a business was not the best idea. It was not a great business model. So that cost me 40 grand. So make sure that you have the right business model and you're going after the right people and you have the right market segment. Because listen, I believe that dry cleaning is a need. I had the automation in place. I had the employees. Costs were all down. Market wasn't there. It just wasn't there for where we were and what we were trying to accomplish. So, you know, that kind of went into the old saying is, what's the number one thing in real estate? Location, location, location. Horrible location. Horrible location. So, yeah. So again, just make sure that you have a great business plan in place and you've talked to several people. You've done market research. So you don't get caught where I got caught. Dude, I think I literally shut down in 6 months. It was the worst anyway. So that's the first thing, right? Here's another great example. So my son was like, hey, I want to start a business. Great. He came up with this idea. He goes, how about we have trash bin buddies? I can take the neighbors' trash cans out. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to fight HOA fees. They don't have to do it in the middle of winter. And I was like, buddy, man, I don't think it's going to work. I said, let me tell you why. I said, one, right now we're in a new community. We have an HOA, but it's not really enforced. We have a board. The developers still control it. Number two, the demographic in our neighborhood is such that they probably have kids. You know, they have 40 to 50-year-olds. They're still young enough to where, you know, they just do it themselves. I mean, what are our driveways? 30 feet long? Like, it's just a good business idea. Bad market again, you know? Now, hey, you're down into a 55-plus community in Florida, and you get into a bunch of 65 to 80 years old, and they're like, hey, I want to take my trash can out. It's hot. I don't want to deal with it. You know, I hurt my knee, hurt my hip, whatever. Man, they can just... That's a great market. In fact, I have a guy, that's what he does, is he goes out and takes people's trash out. So, you know, there's an old saying, the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing. So you could do the right thing in the wrong market and still be the wrong thing. So that's going to cover the first one. The second one I wrote down is you have to fight for community, because if not, you're going to isolate out of default. I mean, gosh, you have to have a community around you. You have to have people that are, you know, you're going to look at my other videos and I talk about being a wet water walker, right? Referring when Peter was walking water to go see Jesus. Like, yeah, I'd rather be a wet water walker than a dry boat sitter. Dude, you got to have people in the water with you, because I promise you, there's going to be a lot of people in the boat yelling at you going, what are you doing? Like, this is a crazy idea. So you're going to have more negative than positives. And if you don't have the people around you, like, you're going to have this little voice sitting aside saying, you suck, you're no good, this is a bad idea, what are you doing? You know, you just cost yourself all this money. So, you know, look at those things. Have those people that are going to be in there uplifting, like, hey, we're going to help you. You know, we're going to keep you afloat through this time. We're basically going to be your life preservers, right? We're going to hold you up, because you're going to need those people. And I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, we tend to isolate. That's just our default, because we got to go, we got to drive, we got things to do. I've invested this money. I can't lose this money. I've got to make this happen. So what I'm telling you is make sure those people around you pull you up. I mean, even to this day, man, my people that are on my board, they're solid. They're right with me. I talk to them, at least one of them every week. At least one of them every week. And I have about 4 on my board. So that's take number 2. The other one I wrote down is, man, you cash flow, baby. Monitor your cash flow. Because listen, if you can't cover payroll, you can't cover your expenses, dude, you're going out of business fast. I remember when we had the voice over IP company, and we were like, man, we were hurting for cash. I was dumping more money into the company. I was like, what's going on? We went and looked at our AR. Our AR was like 100 days out. Like we were 100 days behind our AR. I'm like, well, no wonder. So we had to get back. We had to hire somebody to go out and collect those debts for us. The great thing is, after about 6 months after we hired that person, we had it under 30 days. So that was great. But knowing your numbers, especially when you first get started, always be looking ways to cut your costs. Always be looking ways to improve things. Make sure you're getting paid on time. Those are big things. And don't be afraid to put a little pressure on people, because you deserve to get paid for the services that you rendered. So watch your cash flow. What's the other thing I wrote down? Dude, sales is all relational. This is not, unless you're selling like a widget or, hey, I'm going to be selling, I don't know, soap, right? I'm going to sell some goat milk soap. I just know that because my wife told me about it. So, but it's going to be transactional. Most of the things you're going to do, you're going to build that up over time. They're not going to be quick hits, most likely. Even in the VoIP side, we did have a couple quick hits out of the gate. But that's because we had built relationships with people in our telecommunication business that we had for years. So all those things built up, it was easy to go say, listen, when you've had a relationship with somebody for like 5 years, it's easy to go to them like, hey, I got this new product that's awesome. It's going to save you money. They'll be like, sure, no problem. But it's over time, right? I think that we look past that. Even when you're starting a new company, think about customers you sold to in the past. Think about friends you've sold in the past. Different relationships. That's why I'm always pushing network. Doesn't matter what they are, what they do, just network with people. Because you never know where that's going to lead you. By the way, like, subscribe, share, comment. Do that for me if you would, please. So the next one I wrote down is, hey, your first product pitch will probably be wrong. And dude, this was dynamic with my voice over IP company, because I first went after people. I'm like, now we're going back 8 years, all right? So nowadays this is like standard stuff, right? But I was like, how would you like to have SMS text messaging with your VoIP? How would you like to be able to do video conference calls with your VoIP system? What about if we put like call waiting, caller ID, all this? They got to come free with it. Dude, they got excited, right? Then they're like, this is awesome. But you know what I found out was I'd pitch all these things, and then at the end of the day, they just need that phone to ring. That's all they really wanted. I mean, maybe the executive team used the video conferencing, but rather than that, nobody really used it. So that's why I would say is at first I was kind of pitching the wrong things. I was showing all the fancy buttons and all the fancy features, and ooh, look at this shiny little object, and they're just like, can I just have the regular object that makes a phone call? Now we saved them money too, so that was great, right? So, but yeah, so just be careful. Your first product pitch is probably going to be wrong, and that's okay. The market will teach you when it needs to be pitched. You're going to learn. No different than what I'm doing right now. When I'm starting to do some coaching, I have made some mistakes. I've lost some deals because I didn't know what people wanted, and now I'm starting to understand that better. So, dude, it's just a cycle, right? I'll get through it, and then it's just it'll become old habit for me. Yeah, dude, know your numbers. This is key. And I fell into this in the beginning too, because like, man, I need a deal. Gosh, I just need to get a deal. I need to get some income. I need to get some revenue coming in. And then I sold it, and I'm making like 10% margins on it just because I did anything to get the deal. And I wasn't really looking at our net profit. I was kind of looking at our gross numbers, not looking at our net. So you got to know your numbers. So when you go and sell a deal, you're going to actually make money. You're actually going to make revenue. These things have to make sense numbers wise. So, and then you're always looking at your numbers too, because you want to look at, okay, what about if you run across a cable? Like in my time, we had to do cabling, And this actually happened. I had a great guy, his name was Greg. He was a fantastic cabler. And he was cheap, did a great job. And then I had another cabling company. They did some cabling for me. And they were just more expensive. But I ended up getting another guy who was cheaper and was better at what he did. And he was reliable and loved them. So I was always looking and always talking to people. So even I ran into somebody and they're like, hey, we can sell you phones for this. Well, I would look at it and evaluate it. So just always know your numbers, looking at your numbers, because even if you could save 3% here, 3% there, 3% there, dude, you almost just saved 10%. That's why you got to know your numbers. So this is a good one too, man. Hiring too fast is worse than growing too slow. Dude, if you hire the wrong person, costs you more than just money. It costs you time because you've got to train that person. You've got to invest in that person. So hiring right is great, man. And knowing when to hire. And I got to be honest with you, dude, sometimes that's tough to figure out. Like when we first started, we weren't planning on hiring anybody. We learned pretty quickly, like we needed an engineer. So, we took out a loan and we hired an engineer. And that was probably one of the best things we ever did because he helped us through a lot. He was amazing to work with. Listen, he got on my nerves and I got on his nerves because he's an engineer. I'm a sales guy, right? But I love him to death. Just a good-hearted guy. So, but, you want to make sure you make that right hire. That's key. Yeah, so here's another good one. Your reputation follows you into every room and everywhere you go. So, dude, you've got it. First of all, this is going to go into my next ones, but maybe I'll combine these two. So there's lots of, because this is really 8 and 9 before we get to 10, right? So your reputation follows you every room, and every quick win shortcut that you take gets paid back with interest later. And so these two kind of go together. So one of the things is I never, ever, ever sacrifice my integrity for a deal. I had plenty of chances to do it. Plenty of people that would come in and say, hey, Dan, let's do this. They'll never know. I just never did that. I was like, nope, we're going to be up and up. We're going to be honest with the client. And even when you're out with your, take a client out to eat, when you think about reputation, man, I always tipped well. I've always tipped well because I feel bad for the servers because they don't make a lot of money. They make all the money through tips, man. And if you don't think your client's not watching you, you got another thing coming. Like I always said, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no matter where I was. I didn't care who it was. If it was a receptionist, but yes, ma'am. I don't care if it was a service tech. Yes, sir. I always treated people with the utmost respect. And your clients are going to watch that because, how you treat those people is going to be a reflection on how you're going to take care of the company when things get really nasty. Because I promise you, there's going to come a time where things are going to get nasty. Things don't go right. I've had installs not go right. And at the end of the day, and here's the other thing I always did with my clients too, is I told them, I said, listen, I want to let you know, if anybody ever tells you that nothing's ever going to go wrong, they're lying to you. And I said, the difference is I'll be there if something goes wrong. And that's all they want. They want someone to pick up the phone and say, hey, I got an issue. I need you to take care of it. Right? And that's why, I never took shortcuts in my business either. And a lot of my peers looked at me like I was crazy. When it comes to porting numbers, and that's where you take a number from their current carrier and you move them over to a new carrier, which in that case was IntelliVoice. I had some hard, fast rules. So when there'd be a whole porting process, and man, I had a great guy who did that for me. James was incredible. Loved him to death. But he handled all that, and he'd come to me and be like 4 or 5 days before a port. Actually, I think we had 48 hours to cancel that port, and he'd come to me and go, Dan, we don't have that firm order commitment date. It's kind of funny. They called it the FOC date. So we used to say it's the day you get FOC'd or FOC. But anyway, it's spelled FOC, firm order commitment. But anyway, he come to me and go, hey, Dan, we have this date, but these numbers doesn't look like they're going to be released correctly. I'd be like, cancel it. We're going to push it off a week. And most people would just kind of wing it and pray it went through. And we just didn't do that. And I wouldn't port numbers from December 17th on because I knew the engineers would be gone because they're all union. So they'd have people in the background to help port it. So what I would do then is I would say after that date, we don't port numbers. Unless it was a dire emergency, like their phone system went down or, they were moving to a different location. Except for some rare exceptions. That was just a hard, fast rule. We just never ported numbers after December 17th. Because listen, if the union guys are gone, who's going to take care of it when you have a problem? They're gone. Like, and then you got just like either like the newbies in there who don't know what they're doing. That's the last thing I'll do is take a client down. I mean, we're talking about their phone business here. I mean, this is key for them. We don't want them to be down. And like I never ported on a Friday either. So again, I just had that integrity, that extra level of care I took for my customers will go a long way. And then that builds your reputation up as well because they're like, man, this guy's looking out for me. I mean, I had a couple customers not happy with me, but then when it was all said and done, they're like, man, I'm really glad you took care of me. You guys did exactly what you said you're going to do. You did it on the time frame you said you're going to do, and it worked out beautifully. And when we did ports, we never had an issue. In the beginning, maybe the first 2 years, we had some issue in ports, but rather than that, never had an issue. It was awesome. And then the last one I have here is the payoff timeline takes longer than you think. And dude, this is the sucky part because just on standard business practicals, like of what's going to be happening as far as your profitability comes and when you really start making money is first year sucks. Second year's a little better. Third year tends to be great. Fourth and fifth are awesome. Like we doubled incomes 4, 5, and 6. Every year doubled. It was crazy, right? But that's just how business works. It takes time. It always takes longer than what you think it's going to take. I mean, I wish I had a fix. Are there anomalies? 100%. But at the end of the day, when you look at standards and what's expected, and you look at statistics of the success of the business. Now, I know I have a hard time speaking sometimes. Just ask my wife. But anyway, it's usually going to take about 3 years before you really start cooking, really start making money. So hang in there. You know, I'll leave you this short little old story people just talk about that they had this guy back in the 1800s went and got a piece of land and he's going to go mine for gold and he's excited and he's prospecting and dude, first year sucked, second year sucked, third year he was like, I can't do this anymore. I've lost everything. I don't have any more money. I just can't keep digging. I just got to give up. So he gets out, sells his land off. The next guy comes in, digs down 3 feet and hits gold. And you just got to have staying power sometimes. You just got to keep plugging away. As long as you're seeing progress on the upward trend, not downward. Now, if you keep it going downward, there is a point where you just got to pull the parachute and call it a day, right? And it's like, all right, I've done what I can. But dude, if you're progressing and it's just going up, and that's where, again, you've got to have those people in the boat, in the water with you, right? Because they're going to be ones telling you, like, hey, you're doing okay. Look, you're floating, you're still alive, you're not drowning. Things are looking up, man. We can see our target, we're getting there. Just hang in there. And that's why it's key to have those people in there, to hang in there with you. So, well, hey guys, thanks for joining. And man, I'm so excited to hear different people talk to me about where they're going with their businesses, the success they're having. So I just want to wish you well. And until next time, let's go, baby.